Hi guys, welcome back. Well, if you're anything like me guys, you'll just love buying quality old tools on eBay for absolute peanuts. And I thought this is something I've just picked up, and it's slightly different to maybe certainly what I've seen before. I don't know if you've come across one of these before or not, but this is a milling cutter. I bought quite a few as a job lot, different ones, all with 40 international tapers that fit both my milling machines. So that's a bonus, don't have to worry about trimming those. But this milling cutter, quite rusty when I've got it. I've just spent 10 minutes cleaning it up, and it's come up in good condition. Now I can't see a maker's name on this. I've looked everywhere, there's no maker's name, so it's quite possibly shop made. But it's a design I've not come across before. As I say, it accepts a 40 taper onto there. But the design of it, it's designed to take 1/2 inch HSS tools. Now I don't know if you class this as a fly cutter. I don't know the description of a fly cutter means it's just got one cutting tool. But this accepts two. As I say, it'll take 1/2 inch. Let's probably see it best that way. It'll take 1/2 inch cutters. One on this side and one at 180 degrees on the opposite side. So, as I say, I've not seen one like this before. It'll also reduce down to these 3/8 cutters. And this piece is just high-speed steel, but these cheap Chinese imports have got a carbide tip, so you could fit two of those opposite directions, and quite possibly have them at different heights. So as it's spinning and cutting, one of them is cutting the initial cut, and then the following cutter is going slightly deeper as a finishing cut. I think it's quite some age to this, because the grub screws, two grub screws that hold the cutter in place are imperial. They're an imperial thread, so I think there's some age to it. But I'm going to give that a try with some other of my ply cutters that I've made and see what results it gets. But it looks, as I said, I can't see a name on it. I've got a feeling it may be shop made, but whoever's done it has made a really nice job of it. So I'm going to fit it onto the horizontal mill, find a piece of scrap that I've got, and see what results we get with it. Right guys, first up I've got a piece of 1/2 inch high-speed steel in just one of the cutters. On the opposite side I've put another piece in just to balance the cutter off. There's only one cutter that will be making the cutter on this pass, and I'm sure you'll excuse me if I do a first try on a piece of aluminium. First impression guys, it seems nicely balanced, so here goes nothing. Well, there's a slight difference in finish on the initial cut. I'm not sure what's caused that. It is a rack and pinion feed on this table. It's not a screw feed, so you do get variations in the movement and the speed of the table travel. That may cause that. But overall, once I've made that initial cut, does that show up on the camera? I think it does there. You see the initial cut. Once I've passed that stage, it's leaving a nice finish. I didn't put any lubrication. I didn't put any WD-40 on that, but and it's only a medium speed. But initial impressions seems to be making a decent job. Let's try a slightly deeper cut. Well, that was a slightly faster speed, and I think you can class that as horizontal fly cutting. Let's have a see. Well, again, I've got that initial mark. I don't know what's causing that. Got that initial mark where it starts to make its cut, but once it passes that point, it's a nice finish on it. Can you see that? Let me see if I can get my head around what's causing that initial mark. It's the way the rotation of the mill is going. It's conventional cutting. It's not. It's conventional milling. It's not climb milling. But not sure what's causing that initial mark. But as a first try, I'm quite pleased with that. Right, I'm going to move on to fitting these two carbide tip tools. Is that short, guys? Well, we seem to have lost most of that initial marking on the cut. I don't think the finish is quite as good with two cutters. I'm not quite sure what the reason for that is, but it's overall it's not a bad finish. With having two cutters on and being horizontal, it's quite difficult to get the stick out on both cutters identical, so maybe that's the reason for the slight marking on it. I don't know, but as a first try I'm quite pleased with that. I think they're quite a versatile tool. These two fly cutters are ones that I've made. I think you can class, maybe not that one, but this one certainly holds a boring bar in it, and if you're using a boring bar you need the right hand boring bar rather than the left hand because of the way it cuts. I have used this one in the past. I can't remember using this one since I made it, but this one's a lot larger, gives me more opportunities. So I'm going to swap these over, stick with the aluminium. I'm going to swap these over and see how this one compares to the one I've just been using, and then I think rather we'll ditch the aluminium and go on to some proper stuff. Okay guys, I've fitted the largest of the two fly cutters. Oh, my cat's just come to see me. And as with any, alright Puss, I'm coming. As with any milling operation, 99% of it is setting the tool up and the work to begin with. Actually cutting the job is the easy bit. First thing I've had to do, because this ply cutter sticks out farther than the last one I used, I've had to bring the workpiece in. Before I had the workpiece, alright Puss, last time the first cutter I used, it was sticking out from the table. But because this fly cutter comes out further, I've now had to bring the work in off the edge of the table, and I've packed it on a block. Also, the last time I used this, I had quite a lot. It was quite a large plate, and I had it sticking out a long way. And I was concentrating on making sure that the cutting tip cleared the table. And I was just about to turn the machine on when I realised that the cutting tip would clear the table, but the other end wouldn't. As it spun round, it would have this part would have been hitting the mill table, and I just realised in time. So I've altered the position of the cutting tool now, so both ends clear the table. So that's one consideration you must bear in mind. Because this is a right-hand boring bar, it's now got to spin anti-clockwise. I think, as I said, there's so many things you need to check before you actually turn the machine on. Doing the cutting is the easy bit. Now we're going to clear the bottom there. We're not going to catch the table, so I think we're good to go. I've got it in its fastest speed. It's going to clear that packing piece that I've got underneath, so I think we're ready to go. Yeah, well that finish there, guys, is nowhere near as nice as the first one that I did on that new milling cutter that I've got. So I don't think the fly cutter is, this particular type of fly cutter is as well suited to the horizontal mill as it is to the vertical one. You can see why most people use them on a vertical one. There's far more involved in setting the work up, concentrating on how the tool's going to rotate. There's far more involved with it. So I may move back to Brick Lane. My brain started to hurt a bit now. The sun's shining and you can't beat being outside Brick Lane. There's far less to think about. Put the new milling cutter back in with the two 3/8 carbide tips. I've got a piece of steel mounted up on the table this time. Before I move on to this, I just want to point out there are special cutting inserts for cutting aluminium. Now that is meant for a lathe. Obviously that wouldn't fit into that ply cutter that I just used, but that's a possibility why the finish on that, with using the standard carbide cutters, may be the reason for that poor finish on that. But I'm not certain about that, but that's a possibility. Right, let's move on to this piece of steel. I've got it clamped down. I think everything's clearing the table. Yeah, I think we're good to go there. We need to go clockwise with the cutters, so let's give this one a try. Yeah, well, that's a decent finish on a real world piece of steel, not your cheap aluminium. You see so many examples of people doing cutting on aluminium, but a piece of steel gives you the real world results. But that's a reasonable finish as well. One thing about this horizontal mill, with it being rack and pinion feed, it's not as controllable as the vertical mill that I've got, which is a automatic table feed. You've got the variations in hand movement, and you do tend to get a bit of throwback as the milling cutter starts. So, but overall, I don't consider that to be a bad finish on a piece of steel. So, yeah, I can see me using this cutter quite often. Not only on the horizontal mill, but on the vertical one as well. Well, I hope that was some interest, guys. I like showing people new tools that I've picked up for next to nothing. Slightly different with using a fly cutter on a horizontal mill. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, guys, please subscribe, press the like button, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.